Captain Tai Ho Nam stood at the observation window of the Earth vessel Horizon's Edge, watching the massive structure grow larger against the darkness of space. The Galactic Prosperity Council's primary station looked like a small moon made of crystal and metal. Lights flickered across its surface like stars trapped in ice. This was the center of galactic civilization, or so they claimed. "It's beautiful," Dr. Yuna Choi said beside him. She was the best xenobiologist Earth had, and she had spent months learning everything available about the Council species. "But I keep wondering why they waited so long to contact us." Tai Ho nodded. Humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel 15 years ago. They had built 12 colony systems, established trade routes, and encountered several independent alien species. Yet the Council, which supposedly governed most of the galaxy, had only reached out 6 months ago. The timing felt strange. "Admiral Hyun thinks it's because we've finally become useful to them," Tai Ho said quietly. The communication panel beeped. A voice spoke in perfect English, though the accent was odd, almost mechanical. "Earth vessel, you are cleared for docking bay 773. Proceed slowly. Do not deviate from the marked approach." Tai Ho took the controls himself. He had commanded military ships during the colony wars before becoming a diplomat. Old habits made him trust his own hands more than autopilot in unfamiliar territory. The Horizon's Edge slid smoothly into the docking bay, which was enormous. Their ship looked like a toy next to the Council vessels already docked there. When the airlock opened, 3 aliens waited for them. The tallest one had gray skin that looked like stone, with eyes that glowed faintly blue. The second was covered in something that resembled feathers made of metal. The third floated in a containment suit filled with glowing gas. Tai Ho had studied the files. These were a Varkesh, a Silicate, and a Photonid. "Welcome to Council Prime," the Varkesh said. Its mouth didn't move, but sound came from somewhere. "I am Coordinator Vex. We are pleased that humanity has accepted our invitation." Yuna stepped forward with a diplomatic smile. "We are honored to be here. Earth sends its gratitude for this opportunity." Vex made a sound that might have been approval. "Come, we have prepared quarters for you. Tomorrow you will meet the full council and learn what membership means." The quarters were small. Tai Ho had seen storage closets bigger than the 3 rooms they were given. The furniture was clearly not made for humans. The beds were too hard and angled wrong. The lighting flickered at a frequency that made his head hurt. Yuna said nothing, but he saw her frown. "They're testing us," Tai Ho said when they were alone. "Seeing if we'll complain. Or they just don't care enough to make us comfortable," Yuna replied. She pulled out her data pad and started making notes. "I've been watching the other ships in the docking bay. Most of them look old. Really old. Like they've been in service for centuries." The next morning, they were taken to the council chamber. It was a massive spherical room with platforms floating at different heights. 7 platforms held the council members, representing the 7 founding species. Hundreds of smaller platforms held representatives from junior member species. Tai Ho and Yuna were directed to a platform near the bottom, far from the center. The council head, a being that looked like it was made of living crystal, spoke first. "Humanity, you have impressed us with your rapid technological development. Your faster-than-light drive is crude but functional. Your colony establishment shows determination. We believe you are ready to join the galactic community under our guidance." Tai Ho felt something cold in his stomach. Under their guidance. Not as equals. Another council member, something that resembled a floating brain in a jar, continued. "As junior members, you will receive our protection. No hostile species will threaten Earth while you fly our banner. You will have access to council trade networks. Your people will learn from civilizations thousands of years older than yours." "What do you require in return?" Tai Ho asked. the crystal being tilted forward. Standard terms. You will share your FTL technology specifications with the Council archives. You will limit your expansion to your current 12 systems for a probationary period. You will contribute to Council defense funds. You will submit to Council jurisdiction in all interspecies disputes. How long is the probationary period? Yuna asked. 500 years. The number hit like a physical blow. 500 years. 20 generations of humans locked into 12 systems while the Council studied and absorbed their technology. We would like time to discuss these terms with Earth, Taiho said carefully. Of course, the crystal being said. You have 10 standard days. This is generous. Most species accept immediately, grateful for the opportunity. As they left the chamber, Taiho noticed something. The junior member platforms were crowded with species, but none of them had spoken during the meeting. None of them looked particularly happy. They just sat there, silent and watching. Back in their quarters, Taiho immediately opened an encrypted channel to Earth. Admiral Hyun's face appeared on the screen, looking tired. It was late night in Seoul. How did it go? Hyun asked. It's a trap, Taiho said bluntly. They want our FTL drive and they want us locked down for 5 centuries. Hyun's expression hardened. The president needs to hear this. Can you transmit the full terms? Sending now, Yuna said, working her controls. Admiral, there's something else. This place feels wrong. Everything is old. The ships, the station, even the way they talk. It's like nothing here has changed in a very long time. Noted, Hyun said. Keep your eyes open. We'll analyze everything and get back to you within 48 hours. The transmission ended. Taiho looked at Yuna. What do you think? She was quiet for a moment. I think we flew across the galaxy to meet our new masters, and I don't think Earth is going to like that very much. Outside their window, the vast council station gleamed in the light of a distant star, beautiful and cold and utterly indifferent to the small human ship docked in its lowest bay. Ambassador Soman Lee arrived at Council Prime 3 days later with a full diplomatic team, and something else, engineer Jinwoo Kang, the man who had helped develop humanity's FTL drive. His presence sent a message. Earth was taking these negotiations seriously, but they were also being careful about what they shared. Soman was known throughout Earth's diplomatic corps for 2 things. She never smiled unless she meant it, and she noticed everything. Within an hour of arriving, she had cataloged 17 separate oddities about the council station. These hallways are wide enough to move battle tanks through, she observed to Jinwoo as they walked to their first negotiation session. But there are no security checkpoints, no guards, no defensive positions. Jinwoo adjusted his glasses. He was uncomfortable in formal diplomatic clothing, preferring his workshop coveralls. Maybe they don't need them. If you're the supreme power in the galaxy, who would attack you? Someone always needs security, Soman said. Unless they haven't had a real threat in so long, they've forgotten what one looks like. The negotiation chamber was smaller than the main council chamber, but still impressive. 3 council representatives sat across from the human delegation. Coordinator Vex was there again, along with 2 others Soman didn't recognize. Ambassador Lee, Vex said, we are pleased you have brought technical experts. This will make the technology transfer process much smoother? We're here to discuss terms, Soman replied calmly, not to agree to them. One of the other council members, a being that looked like it was made of living liquid metal, rippled in what might have been amusement. There is little to discuss. These are the standard terms all junior species accept. Soman opened her datapad. Then let's review these standard terms carefully. Point 1. Humanity must provide complete technical specifications for our FTL drive within 30 days of joining. Point 2. Humanity is forbidden from expanding beyond our current 12 systems for 500 years. Point 3. All human military vessels must be limited to defensive capabilities only. with weapons systems subject to council approval. Point 4. 40% tax on all human trade goods passing through council space. Point 5. All disputes involving humans and council species will be judged by council courts under council law. She looked up. Did I miss anything? Those are the terms, Vex confirmed. And what does humanity receive in exchange for all of this? Protection, the liquid metal being said. Access to council trade networks. The wisdom of civilizations far older than yours. Jinwoo shifted uncomfortably. Soman could see he wanted to say something, but she put a hand on his arm. Wait. Let me understand this correctly, Soman said. We give you our technology. We stop expanding. We limit our military. We pay taxes on our own trade. And in return, we get protection from threats you won't name and access to trade networks we don't need. You don't need? Vex's glowing eyes brightened. Ambassador, you are one small species in a vast galaxy. Without council protection, you are vulnerable. To what? The question hung in the air. The three council representatives looked at each other. Finally, Vex spoke. There are hostile species in the galaxy. Pirates, rogue factions. We've been exploring and trading for 15 years, Soman said. We've encountered 17 different species, some friendly, some neutral, one that tried to cheat us in a trade deal. None of them tried to conquer Earth. None of them seemed particularly interested in attacking us. You've been lucky, the third council member said. This one looked almost human, except for the silver skin and the third eye in the center of its forehead. The galaxy is more dangerous than you know. That night, Soman couldn't sleep. She kept reviewing the negotiations in her mind. Something was wrong with the whole situation. The council's terms weren't those of a partnership. They were terms of surrender. She decided to take a walk through the station. The corridors were mostly empty at night. She passed a few junior species members who quickly looked away when she tried to make eye contact. Then she heard voices coming from a side passage. Soman slowed down, staying in the shadows. Two small aliens were talking in low voices. She recognized them from the junior members' platforms. They looked like bipedal lizards with iridescent scales. Did you see the humans? One was saying. They're actually questioning the terms. They won't last long, the other replied sadly. Remember when we tried that? The council simply waited us out. Our economy collapsed without access to trade routes. We had no choice but to accept. At least we kept our FTL drive. The council has been trying to figure it out for 2 centuries now. They'll figure out the humans' drive within months. The council is good at taking things apart, just not good at building anything new. The two aliens moved away. Soman stood in the shadows, her mind racing. She pulled out her encrypted communicator and sent a message to Jinwoo. Need to talk, somewhere private, now. They met in Jinwoo's quarters 30 minutes later. Taiho and Yuna were there too. Soman told them what she'd heard. I knew it, Yuna said, her voice tight with anger. I've been analyzing their technology. Everything they use is old. Some of it is ancient. They haven't invented anything new in centuries, maybe longer. Jinwoo nodded. I've been looking at their ship designs. They're all variations on the same basic patterns. No innovation, no experimentation. They're using technology they inherited or stole, not technology they developed. So what's their goal with us? Taiho asked. Our FTL drive, Jinwoo said. It's different from theirs. We use quantum tunneling through compressed space-time. Their drives use something else. Something older. They want to study our approach, copy it, and probably improve their own technology using our research. Soman looked at each of them. They're parasites. They wait for young species to develop something new, then they force them to share it. The junior species provide the innovation. The council provides nothing but restrictions. What do we do? Yuna asked. We keep negotiating, Somin said. We smile and nod and ask questions. And meanwhile, we gather every piece of information we can about how the Council really works. Over the next 6 days, the human delegation played their part perfectly. They asked about trade terms. They requested clarification on military restrictions. They seemed like they were seriously considering membership. But every night, they met in secret. Yuna had made contact with 3 different junior species representatives who were willing to talk quietly. All of them told the same story. The Council had been stagnant for millennia. They absorbed new species, took their technology, and gave almost nothing in return. Any species that refused was isolated and economically strangled until they had no choice but to accept. On the 10th day, Somin stood before the Council with Earth's answer. "We need more time," she said. "These are decisions that will affect humanity for centuries. We request 6 more months to consult with our government." The crystal being that led the Council actually laughed. It sounded like breaking glass. "Ambassador Lee, you try our patience. The terms are simple. Accept or refuse." "Then we refuse," Somin said clearly. The entire Council chamber went silent. Every junior species representative turned to stare. No one had said no in living memory. "You refuse?" Vex repeated. "We refuse," Somin confirmed. "Earth will chart its own path." The crystal being leaned forward. "You understand what this means? Without Council membership, you are alone. Isolated. Unprotected." Somin smiled then, a real smile. "We'll manage." As the human delegation left Council Prime, Somin looked back at the massive station one last time. She felt no regret, only relief. They had come looking for allies and found prison wardens instead. Earth would remember this lesson. Captain Nari Seo had been exploring the galactic rim for 8 months when her ship found something impossible. The Endless Horizon was Earth's fastest exploration vessel, designed to go where no human had gone before, and right now, she was staring at something that shouldn't exist. "Scan it again," she told her sensor officer. "Tell me I'm not seeing things." "Scans confirmed, Captain," the officer replied, his voice shaking slightly. "It's a megastructure, approximately 4,000 kilometers in diameter. Power readings are minimal but present. It's old. Really, really old." Nari leaned forward in her chair. Through the viewport, she could barely see it against the darkness of space. Only the faint glow of its running lights gave it shape, a massive ring hanging in the void between stars, far beyond Council space. Life signs? None. But there's something else. The structure is sending out a signal. It started the moment we entered the system. What kind of signal? Unknown. It's not directed at us specifically. It's just broadcasting into space. It's been broadcasting for... Captain, the computer estimates this signal has been running for at least 50,000 years. Nari felt her skin prickle. 50,000 years. Humanity had barely invented farming that long ago. "Can we translate it?" "Working on it. The pattern is complex but regular. It might be a greeting or a warning." Scientist Doyen Han appeared on the bridge, having run from his lab when he heard the news. He was the ship's quantum physicist, and his specialty was studying ancient technology. He looked at the readings, and his eyes went wide. "This is beyond anything the Council has," he said quietly. "Look at these power signatures. They're using zero-point energy extraction. That's pure theoretical physics. Nobody has ever actually built something that uses it." "Until now," Nari said. They spent the next 3 days studying the structure from a safe distance. Doyen worked around the clock on the signal. Finally, he came to the bridge looking exhausted, but excited. "I've got it," he said. "It's an invitation. The structure is waiting for someone to dock with it." "After 50,000 years?" Nari asked. "After 50,000 years," Doyen confirmed. "The message is simple. Seekers of knowledge, approach with open minds. Those who take without understanding will find nothing. Those who learn with humility will find everything. Nari made her decision. Prepare a shuttle. Small crew. Do-yun, you're with me. If this goes wrong, the endless horizon can return to Earth with all our data. The shuttle approached the megastructure slowly. As they got closer, a docking port opened, perfectly sized for their small craft. Inside, lights activated automatically, illuminating corridors that had been dark for millennia. The station was beautiful. Clean lines, elegant curves, everything built with a precision that seemed impossible, and everywhere there were symbols and writings in a language nobody had ever seen. Then they found the library. It was a vast chamber filled with crystalline data storage units. When Nari touched one, it activated, projecting images and information into the air. She saw civilizations rising and falling, technologies being invented and perfected. And everywhere she saw the makers of this place. They called themselves the architects. They had been old when the council species were young. They had built wonders across the galaxy. And then, for reasons the records didn't explain clearly, they had left, not died, left, gone somewhere else, beyond the galaxy, seeking new challenges. But before they left, they had built these stations as gifts. Libraries of knowledge, waiting for species that were ready to learn. Why didn't the council ever find these? Nari wondered aloud. Do-yun was studying a particular set of records. Maybe they did, he said slowly. Look at this. These are schematics for the council's FTL drives. The architects built them. The council didn't invent their technology. They found it. They've been using the same designs for thousands of years because they never understood how they really work. More exploration revealed more secrets. The architects had left detailed instructions, but they weren't free gifts. Each technology required understanding the principles behind it. You had to learn to prove you could grasp the concepts before the systems would fully activate. It's a test, Nari realized. They're selecting for species that can innovate, not just copy. At the center of the station, they found an AI. It activated when they approached, taking the form of light and sound. Welcome, it said in perfect English, having apparently learned the language from their computers. I am Keeper 7. I have waited long for a species with potential. Potential for what? Do-yun asked. For true understanding, for growth, for becoming something more than you are. The AI pulsed gently. I have observed your arrival. I have analyzed your technology. Your faster-than-light drive is crude, but it is yours. You created it through understanding, not through copying ancient designs. This is rare. The council species, Nari said. They found these stations. Some of them found stations like this, yes. Very long ago. They took what they could carry. They copied what they could see, but they did not learn. They did not understand, so the deeper knowledge remained locked to them. How many of these stations are there? 73 in this galaxy, all waiting, all hoping that someone worthy would come. Nari and Do-yun spent 2 weeks at the station, learning what they could. The AI helped them understand the basics, but made it clear that real knowledge would take years, perhaps generations. The architects had left a legacy that couldn't be rushed. Finally, Nari sent an encrypted message to Earth. It was marked highest priority and sent directly to Admiral Hyun. Sir, we've found something that changes everything. The Council's technology isn't theirs. They're living on borrowed knowledge they don't understand. But we've found the source, and it's willing to teach us, if we're willing to learn. Back at Earth, Hyun read the message 3 times. Then he forwarded it to the President and to Ambassador So-min, who was still dealing with increasingly aggressive messages from the Council. So-min read the report and smiled. She was in the middle of another round of Council threats. They were demanding Earth reconsider membership. They were warning of isolation and economic hardship. They were promising that humanity would regret refusing their generous offer. But now she knew the truth. The Council was afraid. They had seen something in humanity that they hadn't seen in a long time. real innovation, real creativity, real potential to surpass them, and they were terrified of it. She composed a message back to the council. It was polite and formal, but the meaning was clear. Earth respectfully declines all further discussion of council membership. We have found our own path forward. When Coordinator Vex received the message, he called an emergency council session. The 7 ancient species gathered in their chamber, and for the first time in centuries, they felt something they had forgotten: fear. The humans had found something. They didn't know what yet, but they knew. Young species didn't refuse the council with such confidence unless they had an alternative. And if the humans had found what the council feared they had found, everything was about to change. Far out on the galactic rim, Captain Nari stood in the architect's library, downloading knowledge that would transform humanity's future. The ancient AI watched with something like approval. "You are not the first to come here," it said, "but you may be the first in a very long time who truly deserve what you have found." "We'll do our best to be worthy of it," Nari promised. "That," the AI said, "is precisely why you already are." The emergency meeting of Earth's leadership took place in Geneva, in the same hall where humanity had first unified after the colony wars. President Minji Quan sat at the head of the table, with Admiral Hyun to her right and Ambassador Soman to her left. Around the table were representatives from every major Earth nation and every human colony. "Let me make sure I understand correctly," President Quan said, looking at the reports in front of her. "The Galactic Council wants us to join them as subordinate members. Captain Nari has found ancient alien technology that proves the Council has been lying about their own capabilities. And the Council is now sending us daily messages that are becoming increasingly hostile." "That's accurate, Madame President," Hyun confirmed. "The latest message from Coordinator Vex was particularly direct. He said if we don't reconsider within 30 days, we'll face consequences." "What kind of consequences?" asked the representative from Mars Colony. Soman pulled up a display. "Economic isolation. They'll forbid any council species from trading with us. They'll block our ships from passing through council space. Essentially, they'll try to strangle us economically until we have no choice but to accept their terms." "Can they do that?" someone asked. "They can try," Hyun said, "but there are problems with their plan. First, we've already established trade relationships with 17 independent species outside council control. Second, our FTL drive is actually faster than theirs. We can bypass most of council space entirely. Third, and this is important, many of the junior council species are quietly sympathetic to us." Soman nodded. "I've been contacted by 8 different junior species representatives. Privately, of course. They can't be seen supporting us openly, but they're watching to see what happens. If we succeed in defying the council, some of them might follow our example." President Quan stood and walked to the window. Outside, Geneva sparkled in the sunlight. She had been president for 6 years, having been elected on a platform of human independence and expansion. This moment would define her legacy. "What's our current status?" she asked. Hyun brought up another display. "We have 12 established colony systems. Another 30 systems have been surveyed and marked for colonization. We have 47 deep space exploration vessels currently active. Our military fleet consists of 112 ships, primarily defensive but well-armed. Our economy is strong. Our technology is advancing rapidly, especially now that we have access to the architect's knowledge." "How long before the Council's 30-day deadline?" 17 days, Madame President." Quan turned back to face the room. "Here's what we're going to do. We're going to call their bluff, but we're not just going to refuse them. We're going to show them why they should fear us." Over the next 2 weeks, Earth launched the most ambitious project in human history. 30 colony ships, each carrying 10,000 people, were prepared for immediate launch. Admiral Hyun personally oversaw the construction of 20 new exploration vessels, incorporating early lessons from the architect's technology. Every human colony increased production of trade goods, but the real work was happening in secret. Engineer Jinwoo Kong led a team of the best minds humanity had. They were building something new, something the Council had never seen before. On the 30th day, Coordinator Vex's final message arrived. Humanity, your time has expired. Submit to Council authority or face isolation. President Kwan appeared on every communication channel in Council space. Her broadcast was impossible to block or ignore. Coordinator Vex, members of the Galactic Council, people of the galaxy, she began. Earth has carefully considered your offer of membership. We appreciate the invitation, but we must respectfully and definitively decline. On Council Prime, every council member was watching. Vex's glowing eyes brightened with anger. Kwan continued. However, we want to make something clear. We do not seek conflict. We do not seek domination. We seek only freedom. The freedom to grow, to explore, to build our own future. And we invite any species that shares these values to join us in friendship, not subordination. She paused. To demonstrate our commitment to peaceful exploration. We are today launching 30 colony ships to systems outside Council space. We are opening new trade routes. We are establishing the Open Frontier Initiative, where any species, Council member or not, can trade and cooperate with us as equals. On a dozen junior species worlds, people watched with growing hope. On Council Prime, the 7 ancient species felt something they hadn't felt in millennia. They were losing control. Vex immediately ordered the Council fleet to blockade human space. 50 massive warships moved to surround Earth's 12 colony systems. They sent a simple message. Surrender or be contained. Admiral Hyun was ready. Launch the demonstration, he ordered. One human ship, the test vessel Pathfinder, sat facing 5 Council warships. The Council ships were each 10 times larger, heavily armed, and crewed by experienced warriors. The Pathfinder had a crew of 6 and was technically classified as a research vessel. This is your final warning, the Council fleet commander broadcast. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Respectfully decline, the Pathfinder's captain replied. The Council ships moved to surround the Pathfinder, their weapons locked on. They expected surrender or destruction. Instead, the Pathfinder simply vanished, not jumped to FTL, not cloaked, vanished. It reappeared 30 seconds later, 5 light-years away outside the Council formation entirely. Then it jumped again, and again. Each jump was instant, with no charge time, no visible energy signature. The Council ships couldn't track it, couldn't follow it, couldn't even understand how it was moving. After 60 seconds of demonstration, the Pathfinder stopped. Its captain broadcast on all frequencies. Thank you for your attention. As you can see, blockading human space is impractical. We can leave whenever we want. We hope you'll choose cooperation over confrontation. The message sent shockwaves through the Council. Their technology was supposed to be superior. They were supposed to be the advanced ones. But the humans had just demonstrated something they couldn't explain, couldn't copy, and couldn't counter. Back on Earth, Jinwoo watched the recordings with satisfaction. The new drive system was based on principles they'd learned from the architects combined with human innovation. It wasn't perfect yet. It used enormous power and could only work on small ships so far. But it proved a point. Humanity wasn't standing still. Within hours, 3 junior species sent secret messages to Earth, asking about the possibility of joining the Open Frontier Initiative. Within days, 12 more followed. Within 2 weeks, independent trader species that had never dealt with humans before were requesting contact. The Council called emergency session after emergency session. They argued about responses. They debated strategies. They sent another delegation to Earth, this time with revised terms. Much more generous terms. President Kwan received them personally in her office in Geneva. The delegation was led by the crystal being that headed the council. President Kwan, it said, its voice much less arrogant than before. Perhaps we have been hasty. We would like to discuss new terms for Earth's membership, as equals this time. Full voting rights. No technology sharing requirements. No restrictions on expansion. Kwan listened politely. Then she smiled. Thank you for your offer, she said. But Earth has made its decision. We're going our own way. We wish the Council no ill will. But we don't need your permission to be great. We don't need your protection. And we certainly don't need your restrictions. She stood. This meeting is over. Please show our guests to their shuttle, Ambassador Somin. As the Council delegation left Earth, knowing they had failed, Coordinator Vex sent one final personal message to Somin. Please reconsider. We can offer you senior positions, full authority. The Council needs species like humanity. Somin looked at the message for a long moment. Then she deleted it without responding. Outside her window, the first of the 30 colony ships was launching, climbing toward the stars on pillars of fire. Behind it, 29 more waited their turn. Humanity was striding forward, and they weren't looking back. 6 months had passed since Earth rejected the Council's final offer. Captain Taiho Nam, now leading Earth's entire diplomatic corps, stood in his office looking at a star map that would have seemed impossible a year ago. Red dots showed human colonies. Green dots showed independent species allied with the Open Frontier Initiative. Blue dots showed Council space. The green was spreading. 17 new species have formally joined the initiative this month, his assistant reported. 12 more have applied and are under review. Trade volume is up 400%. And we've received another message from the Council. Let me guess, Taiho said tiredly. More threats, more demands, more warnings about the consequences of our actions? Actually, no, sir. This one is different. It's from a junior species representative. She's asking if she can defect. Taiho looked up sharply. Defect? From the Council? Her entire species wants to leave Council control and join us, but they're afraid of retaliation. This was new. Species had been trading with the initiative, cooperating quietly, but no one had formally tried to leave the Council. Taiho made a decision. Tell her yes. We'll send a fleet to help them if the Council interferes. Across the galaxy, Captain Nari Seo and scientist Doyun Han were still working at the architect's megastructure. They had spent months learning from the AI, Keeper 7. Progress was slow but steady. The architect's knowledge couldn't be rushed or stolen. It had to be understood. I think I've got it, Doyun said one morning, looking exhausted but triumphant. He had been working on advanced power generation for 3 weeks straight. The zero-point energy system, I understand how it works now. Keeper 7's light pulsed approvingly. Demonstrate. Doyun activated a small device he had built. Energy flowed from nothing, pulled from the quantum foam of space itself. It was barely a trickle, but it was real. It worked. Excellent, Keeper 7 said. You have proven understanding. The full specifications are now unlocked for your species. Just like that? Nari asked. Just like that. This is how the architects intended it. Knowledge given freely is often wasted. Knowledge earned through effort is treasured. You will not abuse what you have learned because you understand its value. The AI paused. I have a question for you, Captain Nari. The Council species found stations like this one. They learned some things, but they stopped trying to understand. Why? Nari thought about it. Because understanding is hard. Copying is easy. They wanted the benefits without the work. Yes, and that is why they stagnated. That is why they became gatekeepers instead of explorers. They forgot that growth requires struggle. We won't forget, Doyun promised. Back on Earth, President Minji Quan was preparing for the biggest announcement of her administration. The entire human species was watching, along with hundreds of alien species across the galaxy. "My fellow humans, and our friends across the stars," she began. "6 months ago, Earth made a choice. We chose freedom over security. We chose growth over stagnation. We chose to walk our own path rather than follow in the footsteps of those who came before. Some said we were foolish. Some said we would be destroyed. Some said we would beg to return to the council within months." She smiled. They were wrong. The display behind her showed the statistics. 42 human colonies now, not 12. 134 species cooperating with the Open Frontier Initiative. Trade networks spanning half the galaxy. Technological advancement happening faster than ever. Today, I'm proud to announce the next phase of our future. Captain Junho Lee will lead our first deep space explorer fleet. 20 ships heading beyond the galactic rim, searching for more architect stations, learning, growing, becoming more than we are. In his ship preparing for launch, Captain Junho Lee felt the weight of responsibility. He had been chosen for this mission because of his record as an explorer and his ability to work with alien species. His fleet included crew members from 8 different species, all of them refugees from Council control. "All ships report ready," his first officer said. "Then let's go find some wonders," Junho ordered. The 20 ships jumped to FTL, disappearing into the unknown. Behind them, Earth's light grew smaller, but their resolve grew stronger. On Council Prime, the 7 ancient species gathered in their chamber, but this time it wasn't a triumphant meeting. It was a desperate one. "3 more junior species have left us this month," Coordinator Vex reported, his voice bitter. "They're joining the human initiative. Our trade networks are collapsing. Independent species are ignoring our authority. Everything is falling apart." The crystal being that led the council was quiet for a long moment. "Perhaps," it finally said, "we made a mistake." "We made many mistakes," another council member said. "We thought we could control the humans. We thought they needed us. We thought they would be like all the others." "They're not like the others," Vex admitted. "They're not afraid of us. They don't need our protection. And they're offering something we never did. Genuine partnership." "So what do we do?" someone asked. "We adapt," the crystal being said, "or we die. Those are the only options left." But adapting was harder than they thought. The council had spent millennia in power. They had forgotten how to change, how to innovate, how to truly compete. Meanwhile, the Open Frontier Initiative continued to grow. Species joined not because they were forced to, but because they wanted to. Because they saw something in humanity that they wanted to be part of. A spirit of exploration, a willingness to take risks, a commitment to genuine equality. 1 year after Earth's refusal, Captain Taiho received a message that made him laugh out loud. It was from Coordinator Vex. "Ambassador Taiho, the Council would like to formally apply to join the Open Frontier Initiative. We understand there is an application process. We are prepared to meet your requirements." Taiho read the message 3 times. The Council, the ancient power that had ruled the galaxy for millennia, was asking to join the human-led initiative, as applicants, as petitioners. He forwarded the message to President Quan with a single question. "How should we respond?" Quan's response came back quickly. "Tell them their application will be considered fairly, just like everyone else's. No special treatment, no guaranteed acceptance. If they want to join us, they have to earn it." Taiho sent the response and imagined Vex's reaction. Then he turned back to his work. There were 14 new species applications to review, 3 trade disputes to mediate, and a meeting with Keeper 7 scheduled for tomorrow. Out on the galactic rim, Captain Nari was still learning from the architects. The knowledge was vast, almost infinite. Humanity would be studying it for generations. Captain Junho's fleet had found 3 more megastructures, all of them active, all of them willing to teach. Each one had an AI like Keeper 7. Each one had knowledge to share with those willing to learn. And all across human space, in colonies and ships and stations, people looked to the stars with hope and excitement. The galaxy was vast. There was so much to explore, so much to learn, so much to become. In his office, Taiho looked at the star map one more time. The green was still spreading, the blue was shrinking, and the red, the human colonies, were scattered like bright sparks across the darkness. A new message came through. Another species asking to join the initiative. Another group seeking freedom from the Council's stagnant rule. Taiho smiled and started writing a response. This was the future. Not domination, not control. Partnership, growth, endless possibility. Humanity had strided away from the Council, leaving them stunned and struggling to understand what had happened. And humanity had never been happier. Far away in the vast Council chamber on Council Prime, the 7 ancient species sat in silence. Their age of dominance was ending. A new age was beginning. And for the first time in millennia, they felt something unexpected. Hope. Maybe, just maybe, if they could learn from the humans instead of trying to control them, they could be part of this new age too. Maybe they could remember what it was like to explore, to discover, to grow, but that would require humility. That would require admitting they had been wrong. It would require them to change. Outside the station, a human ship passed by, heading for unexplored space. The Council members watched it go, wondering if they had the courage to follow. The stars waited. The galaxy was vast. And for the first time in a very long time, the future was uncertain. Which meant for the first time in a very long time, the future was full of possibilities.